Hey guys, welcome back to another Tech Debt Repair video. In today's episode, we're going to be showing you how to replace the top case assembly on your MacBook Air, specifically the M1 2020 model A2337. This one's silver, but if you guys are looking to pick up any of the parts or tools you see in today's video, we'll have them linked in the description below. If you're interested in shipping your unit to us for mail-in repair, we're also going to have that linked below. But let's go ahead and get into today's video. So we're going to start by flipping the unit over and removing the pentalobe screws on the bottom. There will be 10 of these, 4 at the top, 4 at the bottom, and 2 on the side. So after we remove the pentalobe screws, we can go ahead and pull off the bottom case. The very first thing we're going to do is disconnect the battery, which is this connector right here, by unhooking the metal clasp and then pulling the connection out of the logic board. With our battery disconnected, the rest of the unit is now safe to work on. So I'm going to start top down here. It really doesn't matter the order here. I'm just going to start at the LCD with a T8 screwdriver. I'm going to remove the 6, so 3 at either hinge, LCD retention screws. And if you're wondering why we're replacing the top case on this unit, it actually had a very bad liquid damage spill to the keyboard, and only a couple of the keys still work, which you can replace the keyboard alone on this model. But this client opted to just go with a full replacement of the top case assembly. So now we're going to switch to a T5 screwdriver, and we're going to remove the 4 silver screws that hold the Wi-Fi antenna module into the top case. And then we're going to remove the 2 black T5s that also hold the Wi-Fi antenna module and the LCD into the top case. Switching to a T3, we're going to remove these 2 T3 screws and the retention bracket for the LCD display connector. And coming down here, we're also going to remove this T3 and retention bracket for the Wi-Fi antenna cables. And we're going to take a plastic spudger and unplug our display connector from the LCD, as well as our Wi-Fi antenna cables. And we're going to go back to a T3 once again for these 3 T3s and the retention bracket on the audio board on the left side here. Sticking with that T3, we're going to remove this screw right here on the audio board. And before you remove the 2 T5s here, we're going to unplug first the Touch ID. And then the audio board connector. And lastly, the speaker. There we are. So we have the speaker unplugged. We can now grab a T5 and remove these 2 screws for the audio board. And keeping that T5, we're going to remove the screws that hold in the logic board now. And don't forget these 2 on the left-hand side here. The MacBook Air is a passively cooled laptop. That's why it has this very large heat sink here, because that's going to do majority of your cooling, if not all of it. So now we're going to switch back to a T3 to remove this retention bracket and 2 T3 screws. We're going to take a plastic spudger and unplug the USB-C ports on the right-hand side, the right-hand speaker, our keyboard backlighting cable, which is right next to the speaker, and then our T3 once again for our trackpad flex cable and its retention bracket. Once again, we're just going to go ahead and unplug that. We can now go ahead and remove the logic board completely and set it aside. We can also go ahead and remove our audio board, and I'm going to remove the Touch ID before I remove the Wi-Fi vent module. It's held in by 6 T3s and a retention bracket. We're going to switch to a T5 and remove the trackpad now. It's going to have 2 T5s in each corner and 1 in the center. And we're going to lastly go ahead and unplug this section of our trackpad flex cable and peel it off of the battery very carefully. All right, so our trackpad is ready to go. So to remove our Touch ID and the trackpad, we're simply going to open the unit up. And you'll see the trackpad will stay on the screen. You just have to feed the cable through the cutout. And once we do that, we can pull our trackpad out. You do want to make sure that you have all of your little washers on your standoffs here. If you don't have those, the trackpad will not click correctly. And you can actually see on this trackpad, it does have liquid damage, so we will be replacing this. The cable does appear to be okay, but let's take another look here. Yeah, so the cable itself looks okay. Just the trackpad will need replacement on this due to the corrosion spread across this left-hand side of the board. Doesn't look like any got on the right. But usually when you spill something on the top case and your keyboard's bad, you typically do need to replace your trackpad as well. So we'll set that aside and get a new one. And to remove our Touch ID, once again, like I said, we're just going to open the unit up. And you can see it hanging down here. We're gently going to pull it out. And that's our Touch ID removed. We can set that aside. And to remove the LCD, we're just going to keep opening the unit up and then lifting from the bottom section here. It'll come off the hinges. Not until we remove the Wi-Fi vent module. Whoops. So yeah, the Wi-Fi vent module here is actually glued in to the top case. That's why it really doesn't like to come out until you pretty much have the unit disassembled. So I like to come in from the corner here and pull up like this. It just breaks the glue free from the top case. There we go. And now we can hopefully just pull it off in the other sections where it's glued down. There we are. So that's our Wi-Fi vent module removed. Our LCD will now remove when we open the case all the way, but we're going to go ahead and take a T5 and remove these 2 screws holding in the USB Type-C ports. And if you order a top case from us, it will come with everything you see in this top case here right now. So both the speakers and a good OEM battery, as well as this daughter board here for the keyboard and the trackpad. Everything like that will come included. So you don't have to go source a million parts and you know they're all going to work. So once again, opening it up all the way and then pulling up from the bottom, we'll remove our bad top case from our good LCD, in which we'll leave this here and get our new top case and trackpad and everything ready for installation. All right, so we've got our brand new top case here. Again, if you guys are looking for any parts or tools you've seen in today's video, we will have them available on our website, also linked in the description below. But let's go ahead and get this guy installed. So we're going to do the exact opposite of what we did. We're going to be closing the top case down and having the hinges follow as it comes down, just like that. And then the very first thing I like to do once I get this top case installed again is take our T8s, so 6 of those, 3 on either side, and screw them down. This just makes sure that of course I don't forget this step, but also if something were to happen and for some reason this were to fall, it gives everything a better likelihood of surviving an impact like that, especially your LCD. If it's not screwed on and you drop this for some reason, you will crack it. I can almost guarantee it. The next thing I'm going to do is install our USB-C ports on the right-hand side. And again, these are held in with two T5s. The next thing I'm going to do is open the unit up, and I'm going to feed through our Touch ID on the left-hand side. Let that hang out. But I'm also going to take our trackpad, our brand new trackpad here, and set this down where it needs to go, which is actually this way. And I'm going to close our top case again and feed our trackpad flex cable through. And it's not quite lined up, but there it is now. Line up our trackpad, and I'm going to go ahead and plug in the trackpad flex cable to the daughter board. And I'm going to screw in the trackpad first, and then I'm going to do the Touch ID, but you could do any order really. Doesn't really matter as long as you screw it in. So on the trackpad, I'm not going to screw these in all the way. I'm going to go in a cross pattern and make sure they all thread before I go ahead and tighten anything down all the way. All right, and that's our trackpad reinstalled. So we're gonna go up to our Touch ID now. We're gonna lay the bracket in first and then take our 6 T3s and secure it down. You don't really have to go in any order on here, but I tend to do the cross pattern on this as well, just to make sure the bracket lines up. And it gives you that nice tactile click whenever you press your power button. Unlike most other MacBooks, these are all the same screws. Pretty much every other MacBook, the screws in the center two are mismatched. Right, so the next thing I'm going to do is install our audio board on the left-hand side here. Quickly though, I'm just going to inspect it for liquid damage while I'm putting it back in. I don't see anything. So we're going to go ahead and reinstall it, making sure to not cover up our Touch ID flex cable or our speaker, which is actually under the board right now. All right, and we're going to take the T3 first that goes in the top side here and screw this one in. And then we're going to take the two T5s that also go with our audio board here. While we're here, we're going to go ahead and plug in our speaker. So with everything we currently have installed, we're now ready to reinstall the logic board here. Again, just taking a quick look for any visual corrosion or liquid damage, but this looks good. These models, M models specifically, are pretty difficult to get data from if you do incur any liquid damage. We do, however, do all types of advanced data recovery from iPhones, MacBooks, PCs, anything you need. We have certified techs here. So if you do have some liquid damage done to your board, go ahead and contact us. We'll give you a quotation, give you an idea of what we think the issue is, and we'll help solve that for you and get your MacBook either running again or get the data back for you. So this kind of sets into place. We're just trying to make sure we don't cover anything up here. And before we plug any cables in, we're going to go ahead and screw it in. So I'm going to start on the left two here, and these are all T5s. And once again, I'm not going to screw these in all the way. I'm just going to get them started and then come back later on once I have all the screws started and tighten them all the way. While I'm on the left side here, just going to go ahead and plug in the connector from our logic board to our audio board here. Our trackpad flex cable. I'm not going to plug the battery in, that's the last thing I'm going to do. I'm going to plug in our Type-C ports, our right-hand speaker, our keyboard backlighting. And now we're ready to install our Wi-Fi vent module here. This flex cable for the LCD running from the logic board is going to go on this side. So the outside, technically, of the Wi-Fi vent module, while the board for the actual display goes on the inside. So make sure the cable runs on the outside and everything else goes on the inside. Once we have that in place, we're going to take the 4 T5s, the very long ones, and screw these in on the 4 holes of the Wi-Fi vent module. And then I'm going to take the 2 smaller black T5s that hold Wi-Fi vent module and the LCD board to the top case in the center here. One on the left and one on the... Once we do that, we can plug in the display connector to our LCD if it would go in. I'll come back to that, but I'm going to go ahead and plug in the Wi-Fi antennas as well. Which usually the display connector is the easy one and these are the hard ones. But the display connector, for some reason, is not wanting to go in. So now that we got our display connector fully seated, we're going to take the retention brackets and screw them in. So the first thing I'm going to do is the trackpad one, and all these are going to be T3s. I'm going to move on to the Type-C port retention bracket. Moving on to the left-hand side of the board, the retention bracket for our Touch ID, our aux port or aux board from the logic board cable and the speaker cable. Onto our Wi-Fi antenna bracket. And at the top here, we're finally going to screw in the LCD display connector retention bracket. All right, now we can go ahead and plug in our battery and close the retention clip. And before I put the bottom case on, I'm going to grab a charger, plug it in, make sure everything works, and then I'll throw the bottom case on. Okay, so we've got our charger here. We're going to go ahead and plug it in. Give it 1 second to realize it's charging, but go ahead and open it up. It's actually already turned on. So we're just going to verify that our trackpad works and our keyboard's fully functional. So the keyboard seems fully functional. We will fully test it later on. Trackpad clicks good and feels good. So we're going to go ahead and unplug it and take our bottom case and reinstall it. All right, so the longest screws do go at the top with the longest 2 in the center and the slightly shorter threaded ones on the corners. And once again, this is a pentalobe screwdriver. And the 2 shortest ones go on the left and right side in the center, followed by the 4 at the bottom. But that's going to wrap up today's video. Thank you guys for watching. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Once again, if you're looking for any sort of data recovery work, I know it's tough out there, especially on newer MacBooks like the M series, or on your iPhone, we've got you covered. Check out the links below, or check us out at techdep.com. If you need any parts or tools, we'll also have them linked again below or available on our website. But thank you guys for watching. See you guys in the next episode.